This regular meeting of the Ruetzel County Board of Education is called to order. We will begin with an opening pledge of allegiance, which Mr. Yeager will lead us in. I'll share an invocation with us. Anyone not wishing to participate may stay seated.
I pledge
Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, we just ask for continued strength and wisdom as we make choices and decisions that affect Ruetzel County schools. And we pray that you would be with our students as they're out of our classrooms right now and enjoying their summers. We pray that you keep them safe and help us to provide for them services and care that they still need, even though they may not be in classrooms at this time. Help us always. We pray this through Christ's name. Amen. I should get. Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, it was too much of a stall. I started feeling a little.
Next item on our agenda is the recognitions, and we have a couple that we want to share this evening. The first one is the M3T Noyce Fellowship award that will be given tonight to Michelle Weeper. She's with us, and thank you for coming, Mrs. Wells. You glad to explain a little bit about this, or Michelle?
Well, Michelle has come very prepared to talk about it. I've done a little bit of research on it, and I found out that this is the third year of the program, and that it is called the Mountaineer Mathematics Master Teachers, and she knows a lot more about it and said she'd be willing to explain it and talk about it.
Yeah, you're good.
So this is the third year of the program, so I'm the third cohort to go through. And their main goal is to improve teaching and learning of mathematics throughout the whole state of West Virginia. It's funded mostly through the National Science Foundation with some contributions from WVDE, and it's in conjunction with WVU. And so their avenue for improving this is empowering classroom teachers to initiate change, and which I know you're a big proponent of also. And a side goal of that is for WVU to improve and develop a new master's program for their secondary ed mathematics teachers. And so this, my first year, and it's a 5-year program. I'm focused more on my own classroom, and we already formed 5-person teams. There were 12 of us as part of this new cohort. I think there's now a total of 45, I think, across the whole state. I'm the only one in Ruetzel County. There's one in Marshall, and I think a couple in Ohio. And so we formed little teams, and we're going to do a plan, do, act, study improvement cycle. My team is focused on increasing student confidence in math in middle school and also fluency. And then we bring it back to a bigger local improvement team after we've, got all the kinks out of whatever we decide to try. And then next year, one of my responsibilities will be to form a local improvement team here with Ruetzel and Tyler County teachers. And then the whole process will start over. So I'm excited.
Yes,
Great. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Two teams.
And
Congratulations. Very proud. All right, we'll take it to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
congratulations. Our second recognition tonight, as we continue to honor those who graduate from Ruetzel County Schools and go on to serve our country in the military, and we've been trying to encourage those folks that do that, and we want to award tonight a recognition and a certificate to Joffrey. Is that right? Jeffrey. I said you told me right, and I said it wrong. Sorry, Jeffrey Schaefer, and congratulate him. Thank you for your service and recognition.
All right, we're going to do a couple of these also. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Jeffrey Mr. Cook has always allowed folks to tell us a little bit about what they're doing in the military, so we can take a couple minutes and we'd love to hear it.
So I went to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri to become a combat engineer, which is, I guess, just making bombs and blowing up enemy defenses for the infantry and everybody else can get in there and actually win the battle, I guess you'll say. And that's basically all I do is just blow things up, make a defense, just have fun with it, I guess. There's a lot of cold, rainy, and snowy days. A lot of blizzards in Missouri. It's all the way up until May, doesn't matter. About 9 degrees the whole time I was there. It was awful. Went through a couple rivers in the snow. It's the worst time of my life. But I loved it. And I'm in the National Guard right now. Working on getting released from that contract to go active duty though, instead.
Wow.
And you're a PFC?
Not yet. I turned PFC 2 months.
In 2 months you'll be a PFC?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're private, they call you private shaver.
Yeah, for now.
Okay, you'll be doing a whole lot more than just blowing stuff up. Almost said it.
No, we're going to.
But, yeah, there's a whole lot more to combat engineering, but thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Yes,
Congratulations both again. Next item on our agenda would have been delegations. I do not believe we have any. Then the next item then will be superintendent's information. Have anything for us?
I do have a few things for you. We were very fortunate, and I was very blessed to be able to join all of our, the 3 incoming board members that will be sworn in on July 5th, and the 2 current board members that are still serving. Well, you guys are still serving until July 1st. Mrs. Fauner and Mr. Castello, we went to a fantastic orientation session for new board members, and we all, I believe, learned something. We talked about experience from people that have been on a school board. We met with small groups and discussed some of the bigger issues that are occurring in the state, the staffing issues. We discussed legal. The Bowles-Rice had a couple legal presentations. They did one on the current state of legal issues in the state, and then they did another one on parliamentary procedure, which was quite engaging and very interesting for us. And we felt very validated throughout the whole training that Ruetzel County was on the right track and doing things well. And that felt really good. It was good to know that we were in good standing legally as well as procedurally. And I have all of you to thank for that as well. We also had a presentation by the Ethics Commission, and I'm sure that Mr. Castello and Mrs. Fauner could add a few more things that we did. We ate so well. So I found it really odd not having regularly scheduled snacks on Sunday after we left. But just a really good bonding session for all of us. Working together, and a very informational, very well done session planned by the West Virginia School Board Association. So I feel really good about the new board coming in and the procedures and policies that we have in place now. I think it's going to be good. Mrs. Fauner, Mr. Castello, anything to add there?
Well, just Mr. Glasscock was there with us, and
Yes.
he is here in the audience. So,
Yes.
It was, everybody was there that's going to be serving, so it was good.
It was very nice. Nice opportunity. Did you enjoy it, Mr. Glasscock?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very educational.
It was.
I've been there.
Yeah, so just wanted to give you a little bit of update on that and where we are with that. I'd also want to talk with you about the instructional leadership here in the county. We are instructional leaders, all of us. Mrs. Weekly, of course, being somebody who, when she came into our county, she had taught a few years in Prince George's County, Maryland, before she came to us. We recognized how advanced she was in her pedagogy, and her delivery is so effortless, and she's a student of the craft, and we used her for professional development, and it's just really good to see her jumping back in and doing these things on a statewide and nationwide scope, which is where she belongs. She's just that bright and just that gifted. And she's part of a group of teachers, a large group of teachers that we have in this county that are very dedicated, and they know their most important job is to make sure students are learning and achieving at high levels. We have to make sure that we continue to be knowledgeable of the best practices and the strategies that are the best for maximizing student achievement, and we have to be supportive of teachers such as Mrs. Weekly and service personnel in their attainment of the county's goals. We are, of course, in the process of revamping our strategic plan, but we are sticking with the major goals and adding a few other action steps and a few other tweaks to it. Instructional leadership, of course, the 7 standards for effective schools, the walkthroughs, which we are definitely tweaking. We had far too many things that we were looking for when we did walkthroughs, and therefore we had all this data, but it was overwhelming and hard to really focus in. So now that we know where we need to focus, we will be looking at fewer areas more critically, and I don't mean that in a bad way, I just mean that more in an analytical way. Principals meetings, there'll be continue to have the professional development for instructional leadership. We have the district administrators meetings that we actually use as professional development on Mondays. And we do read and we do research, and Jamie's been doing it with us, and we're participating and learning as we go as well. It's not just business and not just administration, it's true learning, so that we can be role models for others in the county. Principals take back what they learn to their faculties, and the district administrators, we monitor for accountability. As you know, we have the teacher leadership frameworks. Today I met with the SREB cabinet that works with us, and they're very excited about embarking upon the 2nd year of that, and have some wonderful ideas that we'll be sharing piece by piece as the summer continues. We have, of course, the Aspiring Administrators Group, the Experienced Teacher Leaders Group, and the Beginning Teachers. We are partnering with Marshall University and, of course, as I said earlier, with SREB. We had our schools that held numerous events with great participation this year, but we need to focus on the key concepts of including parents. There's one thing to engage a community. You can engage a community through social media, you can engage a community through the newspaper, we can engage a community through nighttime activities at the school, regular traditional activities, as well as the ones that are innovative and more curricularly focused. However, to truly include parents is, now that we have gotten the engagement piece under control, we need to really work on inclusion and making people feel part of the solution and part of the vision and building the vision. So what Mr. Houston is doing the strategic plans, and our task next year is the year-long work of a long-term, and that's 3 to 5 years vision that we need for our system. We have a great plan, a wonderful plan, but our vision for the next 3 to 5 years needs to be fully developed, and we cannot do that without the community and the parents included in that process. It's been a few years since we've gathered as a county with stakeholders from a multitude of the community groups and interests, and we need to build that collective vision and plan for the future. It's one thing to strategically plan for 1 year, but to plan for 3 to 5 years, that's a little bigger of a task. And we think that at this point we are at the place where we're ready to do that and tackle that and build a stronger system. We've begun this work with the county administrators in our weekly staff meetings. We're getting our hands dirty with what we call wildly improbable goals. And that is just another term for those of you that taught recently for BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. Now they call them wildly improbable or impossible goals. We've been researching root causes to our problems. We are reading books right now. We're reading Ronald Dwinell's Don't Pick Up All the Dog Hairs. We're completing exercises along with the chapters, and we're getting our sea legs on developing this collective vision, and we'll be sharing some of our successes and challenges along the way as we go. We know that this vision building will not only engage us to be better leaders, but will help us foster the support in the community for the academic, the social, emotional, and the physical needs of our students. So I wanted you to be aware of that. as we embark upon July, because July is where the rubber meets the road for those of us here at the county office, and where our real work begins to make sure that we get everything together for the beginning of school. When we get to the accountability piece, I'll talk a little bit about what we did today with Mr. Kimball, getting items together for the beginning of the school year and for the summer, and the calendar and all of that. So we'll talk about that, but I'm really pleased with the work that our county administration is doing, and I'm pleased with the part of the vision that we have so far, which is to be not just engaging of our community, but to truly include them. And that's going to be very, very important this year, and a big focus for us for this year. And right now, I think that's all I have, Mr. Price.
Thank you. Next item then on our agenda is the superintendent's recommendations, and the first one is to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of June 13th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Has been moved to accept the minutes from the regular meeting on June 13th. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Are there any questions as it relates to those minutes? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. The next item on the agenda is a lengthy list of personnel matters. You've had these in your packets. Board members to look over. Are there any questions regarding personnel matters?
Not a question, but just a comment.
Okay.
And that Mrs. Pritchard will be missed.
Absolutely.
And wish her the best of luck and give her the board's thanks for all of her years of service.
I certainly will. You know that Mrs. Pritchard not only taught her entire career and was principal her entire career at one building, she also student taught in that building. So we can say that
Amazing.
her entire,
I remember when she arrived as student teacher and was a colleague with her for years.
yes.
And then worked under her as she was the administrator, and she will be missed.
She's the consummate professional, and yes, thank you, Mr. Yeager. We'll make sure that we let her know.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Not hearing any, is there a motion?
Mr. President, I move for approval of superintendent's recommendations as outlined under personnel matters.
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Again, last time for any questions. Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Personnel matters are approved. The next item on the agenda is the ratification of superintendent's recommendation. Consideration and possible action on superintendent's recommendation that his professional employee's paid suspension be ratified by the board. Is that still something you want the board to consider this evening?
Yes, sir, it is.
I would move for an executive session then, because this falls under a personnel matter required by law that we discuss that in executive session.
And I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded to enter into executive session to discuss this personnel matter. Are there any questions to the motion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in executive session at 18.
6:18.
We'll I'm ready when you are, Mr. Ruetzel. Let the record reflect that we are out of executive session at 6:24. Under consideration is a consideration of possible action on the superintendent's recommendation that a professional employee paid suspension be ratified by the board. Mrs. Wells.
Yes, President Price, I ask you and the board to please ratify my recommendation that Kathy Schmaltz be placed on paid, or ratified that she was placed on paid suspension up to and including June 30th of 2022, upon which day she will be officially retired.
Board members, is there a motion as to the superintendent's request for ratification of the paid suspension?
Mr. President, I move that we ratify, let me start over. Mr. President, I move that the superintendent's recommendation that Kathy Schmaltz, principal of Magnolia High School, paid suspension be ratified by the board, effective through June 30th, 2022.
It has been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. No further questions to the motion itself. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is approved. Next item on the agenda are routine matters. There are a handful of various routine matters listed on your agenda. Board members, are there any questions as it relates to the routine matters? Not hearing any, is there a motion? It has been moved to accept the routine matters provided by the superintendent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Again, are there any questions to those routine matters? Not hearing any, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the treasurer's report. Is there no additional information from Mr. Lancaster for us this
No,
evening?
sir.
Okay, so that item can just be scratched from the agenda. The next item on the agenda is the first reading of revised Ruetzel County Policy EEAD-R, a special use of school buses. And board members, you're seeing this. If you recall, this was a kind of a hotbed discussion in our regional training meeting a while back as it relates to the law changes when it comes to how many extra vehicles outside of a bus could be used for transporting athletics and band or whatever it might be, and there was ambiguity to the new state laws that kind of left the local county boards in a position to need to give clarity to what we are doing as it relates to those new laws. And so I believe this policy addresses those issues. Mrs. Wells or Mr. Barkus, any additional information that you want to share with the board as it relates to this?
Mrs. Lloyd cannot be here tonight. This is the first reading, of course, but what she had told me was the part that she's asking you to revise. That's been our practice for decades. And this is part of state policy, but she would like to include the county policy as well.
Okay. Board members, are there any questions as it relates to this policy?
The supervision of bus stops, of course, I realize is needed. It's very difficult to enforce. Good luck with that.
I think the positive thing about it is most people do this.
Yes, they do.
It's just the exceptions
Yes.
that cause us to compare.
And with policy in hand, at least you can have a conversation.
Exactly. Yes.
She's just looking out for safety.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
Are there any questions? Not hearing any, is there a motion then to accept this revised policy upon first reading?
Mr. President, I move that we approve first reading of revised Ruetzel County Policy EEAD-R, special use of school buses.
It has been moved to accept it on first reading. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Has been moved and properly seconded. Again, are there any questions of the policy? All in favor then say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Now, just for clarity's sake, I just might just make comment that that policy is gonna come up on second reading with a new board in place. And so if I would just encourage Mrs. Wells to make sure that the new board members have this policy in hand and that they understand that they have a right to speak and offer motions of amendment to that policy, if they so choose when they come.
Yes, sir, we will.
Thank you. Next item then on the agenda, make sure I didn't miss anything, our board member committee reports. Are there any committee reports to be heard this evening?
The only thing I would like to say is this is really a committee report, but I did attend the 4-H camp, as Mrs. Wells and I both did. And last Wednesday evening, there were other special guests there. We all received a rousing how from the campers.
Yes, we did.
They had combined this year Marshall and Ruetzel County. At the younger camp, I believe they had 64 campers, something.
Something like
And
that.
an older camp the week before, they had like 45, something around in there. So much better. I've got to tour the new facilities, the cabins, which are just wonderful.
Spectacular.
Compared to what they were like when I was there in the 60s.
Yes.
But just a very good time, very good meal. It seemed like a great time for the kids, the 4-H'ers of our county.
I agree. It was wonderful. I hated to leave.
Any other, you have anything?
No, sir.
On that? I don't think we're still, the policy committee will have some things to work on in the future.
Correct.
I guess. Next item on the agenda then are other items, in particular the West Virginia School Accountability aspect that we discuss at each meeting. Mrs.
Right.
Wells.
We'll start with Mr. Kimball tonight. Mr. Kimball?
On my list here. We've been working on the first week of school trainings. Mrs. Wells mentioned that earlier. We got a calendar together. And I think after Mr. Houston gets back tomorrow, we'll probably get that out to the principals. Some of the trainings that we have in there are co-teaching, CPI, Stop the Bleed, grade level meetings with Mrs. Standiford and Mr. Houston, as well as new teacher orientation with Ms. Healy. So we're pretty well got the first week of school pretty well hammered out. And I think that's, I'm all about getting it to the principals now so they know how to plan, when they have that first week. We started online trainings last week, and it seems to be going very well. And I think the trainings are gonna be very beneficial to the faculty and all the staff in Ruetzel County. Because it's all the same, everybody's getting the same data, whereas before, maybe a little different from each school to school. So now everybody's getting the same information, which I think is very good. And then we had our first CPR training week and a half ago. We had about 30 folks there, teachers, coaches, and aides that were all there, and it was another very good training. So.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball.
Yep.
Mr. Kimball, we approved Mrs. Brown
Yeah.
for out at the tech center. Is that what you discussed with us a couple of meetings ago? Okay.
Yeah.
That she's, as part of, is gonna be like,
She's gonna assist me and my staff those extra 10 days, because right now we've got a lot of folks with IEPs, and at the end of the year, we'll use her at the end of the year to help make sure we've got all the IEPs straightened out and filed and everything submitted.
so she's more or less gonna help you audit stuff or.
Absolutely, yeah, audit's a great word for that, Mr. Castelo.
Okay.
Yeah, on top of her regular duties with the students at the tech center.
Right.
She's gonna assist us at the end once the kids are gone.
Look, because at Magnolia, you're probably familiar with that, when I was there, she was like the lead
Yeah.
special ed person, and she'd always be like, okay, you don't have,
That's basically what she's gonna do at the county level for us. She's gonna help us make
she's
sure
just
that.
gonna be expanding from one
Yeah.
school to,
Yeah,
okay.
she's very good at that,
Oh,
so
yeah,
she's a great
she's
applicant
excellent
for
at her
that.
job.
Yeah,
She'll be listed at the high school, though,
absolutely,
if we can find somebody to replace her.
yeah.
Mrs. Stanford?
I've been basically on federal programs for the last couple of weeks, with the grants and the audit coming back, and we did have a couple of findings, which have already been taken care of, and we're sending it back into them. Summer Soul Energy Express is really doing well this year. I'm really pleased.
Did you say we had 70 kids at Peyton City?
Over 70 at Peyton City,
Yeah.
yes. And they are attending, so.
That's amazing.
Want to talk about that, Rachel?
As a matter of fact, no.
But yeah, but it's been good, so far it's been going well.
And everything at the high school has kind of worked out for, I mean,
Yes.
them having it there,
There's not been any issues.
no
that
issues or anything,
That I know about.
until somebody calls you.
Yeah,
So, but I'm just saying, they had to move it because of construction and everything, and there's no problems or anything that I've heard, or, and in fact, I've heard everybody say good things about it.
yeah, so it's been good.
It's wonderful. Thank you. Mr. Doty?
Main City project's rolling. They've got some ductwork installed. They're finishing up some of the plumbing. They started stripping topsoil today for the addition on that building. If you've noticed, the house at Magnolia is completely gone. Worked out good. We didn't have to bring in any dirt at all to level the lot, so that kind of alleviates any problems with FEMA and the floodplain, so we didn't have to do anything. We thought we were gonna have to take some dirt out, but we ended up being able to use what we had, so.
Good.
Waiting on 2 more bids to see if we can get that paved before school starts, and just moving on projects.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Marcus?
Few things, what Mr. Price and I were talking about. Mr. Houston, when he comes back, I'll get with him. We got a half dozen policies to go over with him involving secondary education, CTE. That's where we are with the instructional section. This time of the year, a lot of homeschooling assessments are coming in. State laws when they're grades 3rd, 5th, 8th, and 11th. They have to head that to me by June 30th, so we're at that time of the year. And then Mrs. Schooley, Mr. Price, Mr. Yeager, thank you. Mr. Yeager, not only just board member, with my former boss. Remember he came over to Magnolia High School in 2011 and said, I'm the one the committee wanted to hire, so thank you for bringing me over here. Thanks for all your help. Appreciate it. That's all.
Mr. Cook?
So you're to blame. That was a good choice. Yes, you are, all 3 of you are gonna be missed, as far as that's concerned. It's been a good run, so, too late to change your minds, as far as I know.
Look at him grinning.
They're grinning and we're not.
We tested custodians, I think it was last week. Mr. Lloyd and myself tested 4, sent out several letters, only had 4 actually come in and test. Probably looking at aides and cooks again down the road here next month. But we just not getting that people aren't coming in to test. So, and I have to know ahead of time now so I can assign them a test online. They can't just walk in and take the test. So I did turn somebody away the other day and was rather abrupt about it. Follow directions. I just need you to follow directions, and that's exactly what the letter says. Follow the directions. Everything will be good. But we did get a few good people come in and tested, so I was pretty excited about the ones that we actually had here. So hopefully we can get them out there and get them started pretty quickly. And if they want to be full-time custodians, then so be it. But if not, they'll make really good subs. So we'll see. Friday also got out and was hand delivering the 25-year awards of the people that weren't here for our retirement and 25-year award ceremony. I logged about 80 miles going around trying to track them down. It was a good time though. I spent a lot of time out there on 20 in front of your house, Mr. Yeager. About an hour and a half actually.
Pick me up, I will.
But that's going, I got 3 more and I'll have those given out. We have about 9 student laborers out there right now that are either in school or going in the military or something out there as summer laborers. I've lost a couple, which is, it happens every year, but so far they're working out. See what happens. Besides that, that's all I got. We're just trying to find people, get people in positions. So.
I have a few things here. As we know, 3 of our board members are serving their last meeting with us here, and Mrs. Fauner said it best, they're smiling and we're not. So, we do have 3 wonderful board members that are coming in, we're excited about them, but it's always bittersweet at this time and saying goodbye to the work that we've done together as a county administrative team and a board. It's always hard, very hard, and the 3 of you are top-notch, and first class. I have a few little things that I wrote down that I'd like to say about each of you, and I'd like to present you with these tokens of our appreciation made by 100 High School, 100 Inc., and Mrs. Fitzsimmons, I always do that.
I take that as a high compliment as well.
Mrs. Simmons designed these, actually, and then the students at 100 High School, under the direction of Mr. Rush, produced these for you to have as a keepsake for your time that you spent on the board here with us. Mrs. Cooley, you embody the word passion. Your passion for the students, the system, and the employees is unrivaled. Always mindful of your responsibility to the standards set forth by virtue of your elected office, you still saw to it that the voices of your constituents were heard and their values known. You certainly have made your Grandma Betty proud. So, Mrs. Amy Cooley, everybody. She was a special lady, you know how much I loved her.
Oh, I did too.
So, yeah, I know. I know. Mr. Yeager, Vice President Yeager, you have been able to bridge the gap between the education world and the community at large while remaining true to your oath of office. That's not an easy task. You always represented the students of Ruetzel County first and foremost in your entire career and during your time of service to this prestigious body. I have worked with you for over 20 years. You are a valued coworker, board member, and more importantly, friend. Mr. Vice President Jay Yeager. And last but certainly not least, President Price. During your tenure as president, we have seen enormous growth in this board's credibility as a governing body. You have been integral to the important advances we have made, particularly in the areas of instructional leadership, board protocol and procedures, and family engagement. Your professionalism and ethics are incomparable. Please know how valued your integrity is to all of us here tonight. President Price, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Wells and the three board members, I'd like for you to come up here for me to take a picture.
I'm just now able to breathe again.
In and out. Hold on a second. Love each other one last time. All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Also ceremonially, as part of the president, when he or she leaves office, is that the president gets to take their gavel with them. So Mr. Price, when you gavel out tonight, that is yours to keep and put beside your.
I appreciate it.
Deborah, watch it.
I think Mr. Price needs to be careful. And your sign, your name.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Definitely take your name plates, yes.
Thank you all, I appreciate that.
Well.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
We get to say it.
Yes, go ahead, Jeff.
As they say, all good things must come to an end. It has been a highlight of my life to have been able to serve as a member of the Ruetzel County Board of Education. I want to thank the administrative staff, Superintendent Wells, all of you. Special thanks to Joe Beth. There's one person I've worked with longer than you in this room, Ms. Jones. And, gosh, I hope I can do this without crying. But I'm also very, very proud of this board sitting here over the last 2 years. The professionalism, the boardsmanship, collegiality. We didn't always agree on everything, but I think we did things the right way. And Mr. Glasscock, we've left things in good order.
I got a big sheet to fill.
But sincerely, from my heart, I thank all of you. You know, God bless this board. God bless Ruetzel County Schools. God bless West Virginia and the United States of America. And thank you.
Thank you.
No. Let me tell y'all what that school would say. Thank you. I'll just echo what Mr. Yeager said. It's been a humbling experience, that's for sure. It's been a humbling experience. And I want to thank all the board members that I've served with, but the two sitting next to me have been sitting here with me for 4 years, and Lyndon and BC, it's been an honor to serve, humbling to serve, and it's not always been easy, and the last 2 years have been, I told folks when I walked in tonight, if you had told me 4 years ago when I walked into this building for the first time on that first Tuesday of July and took a seat on this board, not knowing a thing about what I was getting myself into, you couldn't even have made up what we've been through in the last couple of years as it relates to trying to address the challenges of education in the midst of a pandemic and various other issues. So thank you all. I think it's worth saying again what Mr. Yeager said. This board, I believe, was able to disagree without hating each other. And if that is a model for others, then I hope so. That we need more people to be able to stand and have a conversation and disagree and not hate each other when they walk away. And if we were a model for that, then we accomplished something together as a board, and that's my hope. And so I wish everybody well. The new board, Mr. Glasscock, just serve the students best you can. Serve the students, keep them centered, and you'll do well. And this board was here long before the three of us.
That's right.
It'll be here after us. And so keep on keeping on, all those who are serving our students. So, thank you all.
Let's be honest, you know I'm not gonna get through anything, so I'm gonna just say ditto to all of that. The one word you forgot to mention, both of you, was respect. And that has been an ongoing feeling. Let's just leave it there. We're gonna leave it there.
So, if nothing further,
Nothing further.
thank you all
very much.
again. And for one last time, Mr. Yeager, I would move with the next meeting being July 5th, 2022, a statutory meeting. That is a Tuesday because of the state laws governing the first meeting of a new board. It will be Tuesday, July 5th at 6 o'clock. With that, I would move for adjournment.
And I will second.
Has been moved and properly seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned at 6:48.